Hello, my name is Voya and welcome to my deep guide, and in today's video we are checking out the Boox Go Color 7, and it's an in-depth review video this time to check what this little guy is all about. This unit has been kindly sent to me from Boox directly, but this is only a review loan unit because once I'm done with it I send it back, and that's pretty much that. This is an interesting device because it's basically a Boox page in color. But it really is important because the color readers, especially the 7-inch format, is now really becoming popular because now we have the Libra Color 7 inches using the same screen. Then we have the Big Me B751C. We have this one as well, and there's Pocketbook Color. So it's a pretty serious competition in this realm for people who are interested in getting a device like this, especially the color versions. So it's important to actually check out and see how it stacks up on its own, and at a later date I will also do a back-to-back comparison between several of these to see how do they compare to each other. However, in this one we're focusing on this one only. But before we do, I want to invite you to check out the mydeepguide.com/shop, where you can find MDO 24, 25 and 26, because I have recently finished and launched the My Daily Organizer for years 2025 and 2026. So now you have quite a big range to actually cover from, but you also have the My Deep Guide meeting planner. All of these are hyperlinked PDF documents, not an app, and you can find more information about all of these products in the linked playlist below. Plenty of information there, and purchases of these products directly support the independence of My Deep Guide. So without further ado, let's check out the Boox Go Color 7. The Boox Go Color 7 is a 7-inch Android-powered e-ink, color e-ink device that uses a Kaleido tree panel. This is a reader-only device, so it is not note-taking capable, and it has all of the usual Boox features and functionalities that you would expect from a Boox device, with exception that this is not a BSR-enabled device. Go Color 7 is, as mentioned, a 7-inch Kaleido 3-powered screen, which has a Carta 1200 glass screen with a flat cover lens. It has a 300 ppi black and white and 150 ppi color resolution with capacitive touch, no stylus or writing capabilities. Has a 2.4 GHz octa-core CPU with 4 GB of RAM, 64 GB of storage, Wi-Fi connectivity that supports both 2.4 and 5 GHz standards with Bluetooth 5.0 protocol supported. Has a front light with CTM, both warm and cold, and a G sensor for auto rotation. Software-wise, it runs on Android 12 with all of the capabilities that you may want to expect from it, including the Google Play Store capability out of the box, so no GSFID registration needed. Other specifications are, of course, it has a power button, it has page turn buttons. From what I can see, it does not have a fingerprint recognition sensor. It does have a USB-C port that supports OTG and use of an audio jack converter. Micro SD card expansion slot, which I believe is up to 1 TB of storage. Has a built-in speaker, built-in microphone, single speaker, single microphone, 2300 milliamp battery, and it is the dimensions, as you can see, with 6.4 millimeters thickness at 195 grams of weight. The price of Boox Go Color 7 is at $250 US, but that is the package that includes the cover as well. As a complete package, that's not a bad deal at all, because if you actually take into account that, for example, Big Me B751C, just the device, no cover, no nothing, so only the device, costs $230 US, and the Kobo Libra Color, also just the device, no cover, no stylus, is $220 US. At $250, with the capabilities that the Go Color 7 actually provides and what it gives, and the cover that's actually quite nice, $250 US is quite a good and competitive price. The design and build quality, well, design-wise, it is the exact same design as the Boox page was. Nothing bad about that, because I think that that was a really, really good design to begin with. The only thing that I reacted to then, and I'm reacting to now as well, is the fact that there is no space between the previous and next page buttons here. In fact, there's almost nothing between them, so that's something to kind of keep in mind. That's maybe a personal preference, but other than that, everything else about this device is really, really nice. We have a flush screen on the top. I believe that this is some form of glass. Reflectivity is good-ish, so it's not the best, but it provides clarity, and if clarity is what you're looking for, you will have more reflections and you will have sharper reflections, so that's something that you absolutely have to keep in mind. The major difference with the page design is the back itself. So the back of the Go Color has this kind of parchment-like texture structure, which feels really, really good. It doesn't feel like plastic, it really does feel like parchment, and it is something that's both practical because it provides for anti-slip kind of a surface, but it also provides like a nice feel, nice tactile feel when you're holding the device and when you're using it. The edges of the device are nicely rounded, both front and top, and that is important because this is a device that does have auto orientation capabilities, so it needs to be comfortable whether you use it with one hand, two hands, landscape, portrait orientation, or left hand side, right hand side. The ergonomics of the device are such that no matter what you do, it's actually quite comfortable wherever and however it is that you hold it. Now, as far as the layout of the device goes, well, flush surface on the screen, 7-inch screen here. We have a wider edge, black completely on top, and we have two buttons on the side. On the top, we have the power button with the indication LED, nothing on the side, nothing on the bottom, and on the opposite side, we have one speaker. Here is a microphone that's masked like a speaker, USB-C for charge and data communication, and the micro SD expansion slot. On the back, we have nothing. We have just a embossed or perforated Boox logo here and a vertical line here, like a spine on a notebook or something like that. Overall, very, very nice design. It's all plastic here, but it's good quality plastic, and your manufacturing is really, really good. Everything is super precise, and it feels like a high quality product. There's no edges, nothing that I could actually feel that feels even a tiny bit out of place. So both design and build quality, I think, are excellent. Now, this being a reader, first and foremost, I'm going to focus mostly on the image quality and image control quality as well. So first, we're going to start with a regular document, which has a combination of text and some images. And I'm going to make sure that I am in a good quality mode, which is Regal. I want full refresh rate at 1, and I want full refresh depth mode at depth. This ensures that the device is going to function on basically the best that it can. So that is number one thing that I'm going to set. And then the second thing that I'm going to also set is here in the settings, in the style, I'm going to make sure that the text enhancement is turned off. And in the contrast, I'm gonna make sure that the image smoothing is turned on. So those are my settings in the eReader that I use to ensure that we're getting the best quality that the device is able to provide. So now let's do a fit screen for this document, and that's that. The front light is turned completely off. Don't be confused by this one. This one doesn't matter because this is front light color control. So this is cold or warm, but still I'll just, you can turn it off, whatever that means. That's just being kind of silly, but that's what it is. The main one is this one here. We have this as a set of conditions, and the device then performs like this. It's fairly fast. even in this mode, it's really responsive. Like the whole screen refreshing and the device, very snappy and very immediate. On some of the Boox devices, it happens that you tap and then you wait and then it flips a page. This is not the case here. It's really instant, and this is an important thing because it kind of gives you a connection between you and the device and how you interact with the device itself. So the buttons themselves also very interactive. So, and they are nice and clicky. So that's something that I like, and that's okay. And then if we flip it to a horizontal mode and then we do fit width, which is something that's really good on a Boox device, then you can flip pages here. And when you flip pages in this mode, it will first slide down, scroll down the page until it reaches the end of the page, and then it will flip to the next page. The quality, image quality, is excellent from what I can see. This is running the latest update that the device has received, so maybe that is resolving some of the issues that I reacted to before, because originally when I did do the unboxing and first impressions, I have had a reaction that the text was not as crisp as I would expect it to, but this seems to have been remedied by the latest update. And as you can see, even in super tiny fonts here, which are really small, the clarity is there. So that's the 300 ppi in the black and white that you can see from this screen. Of course, color content on Kaleido screens is 150 ppi. All right, so regular PDF document reading, really good. Now let's get on to a magazine. And here we're gonna keep the same mode and then see how it actually performs. And it performs really well again. So responsiveness is excellent here as well. And you can see that when we have the depth refresh mode on, then we have no ghosting. So that is something that's a prerequisite for this panel to actually work correctly, because if I do switch, let's go to normal full refresh, right, mode, and I start going, you will see that while it is good, there is some ghosting remnants are left here and there. Nothing really terrible, but there we go. Here we go. This is a good example. So even though I have a setting of full screen refresh on every single page, you can see a little bit of text remnants ghosting here. And that's not supposed to happen, if we're quite honest, because that's, yeah, you're doing a full screen refresh, right? But a full fresh normal and depth, very different. So if you want completely ghost-free experience, at least in the eReader, as far as I know, it's only possible in eReader because the eReader is the only one that gives you the that option of depth refresh. So anything other than depth refresh, you will start to run into ghosting issues on the Boox Go Color 7. So that is something that they definitely need to get into and look into, because this demonstrates that the device is absolutely capable of performing, as you can see, like really performing well, completely ghost free, with excellent clarity and beautiful image quality. However, you won't be able to receive or achieve that result in other apps, only in the eReader. Now, as far as the color control and image control goes, well, you have the e-ink center, and e-ink center has been optimized and changed a little bit in this is, I believe, version 3.5.3 of the Boox OS system, which introduces a lot of UI improvements, changes, and one of the improvements is basically optimization of the e-ink center. Now you have like optimal mode for colors, so you can see now they are more more contrast and more vividness with colors. It's more like a photograph, like quite nice, less magazine like, more photography like, or you can explode it with vivid. But vivid is way too aggressive for me, because especially when you reach brighter spots, so for example, there was, I mean, you can see that even here it's just exploding the whenever you get to something too close to white, it just can't handle it and starts exploding stuff all over the place, which is not good. And here you can definitely see that kind of stuff happening. So for me, Optimal is better than the Vivid option, but the best thing is that you do have a custom option, and when you tap on it again here, then you have all of the controls here, and then you can maybe just like, oh, maybe I just want it to be more vivid, maybe I want color brightness to be increased, or maybe I want dark color enhancement. And this would be great if it would react properly, but it's not, and that doesn't react properly because of the bottom layer here. So yeah, while it has been improved, it's not the best. So yeah, you have dark color enhancement as well. I prefer to keep it like just fully stock, like nothing, and then just see what the screen is capable of producing. And this is like really like a magazine type of image, which I find very, very pleasant. But of course, if you do want a little bit more poppy, more modern type of image, then I think Optimal works really well. And finally, with the image examples, I'm gonna check out the Kobo app and a book there and a comic book there. But before I go there into the Kobo, I want to go and optimize and just show you what I was talking about, that there's really no way to adjust the depth configuration here. So if I open this up, and it really does look great. I mean, it's excellent. And if I go into the e-ink center, now I have refresh mode, so I have normal speed, A2 and Regal, right? So let's say I go to Regal mode because it's minimal ghosting, slightly flickering on dark backgrounds, suitable for light colored backgrounds. Okay, and I'm gonna remain on Optimal because that, as we've seen, is a bit better as an image quality. So this is basically the absolute best that you can get in third-party apps on this device. However, even with the Regal refresh mode, which is supposed to give you the minimum amount of ghosting, the ghosting is still there, and you still are not getting the depth refresh mode, you're getting the normal refresh mode. And even if I go into further settings, because you have more, right? So if I go into more, you can see that I've already set it up that the full refresh is on every single click. So I'm trying to do everything that I can, but the setting that is missing in the e-ink center right now is the option to switch between full refresh mode, normal or depth. This is something that we need. I don't know if we have it. I can't find it if we do have it, but it's something that is missing because we do need that, especially on devices that are using a Kaleido 3 screen, because ghosting is there. And there is no reason for the ghosting to be there, as we've seen on the eReader. And if you switch to normal mode, then you're going to have even way more ghosting, right? So people will try and minimize things, and these are the results that you're going to get. Well, no, you don't have to get this much ghosting, right? You can switch to Regal mode, and that is automatically in itself, it's going to be better, but it's not ideal. It's not ghost free, and that is I think that's a completely unnecessary issue. This is a software thing, and if only we would have depth refresh mode, maybe that it's automatically used with the Regal refresh mode as well, then I think that we would finally be able to actually have Go Color without any ghosting, which is something that I think is absolutely required for a device that is a dedicated reader. Now, as far as the comic books go, if you're, looking at purely black and white type of comics, then the vivid mode is really good because it's gonna pop up that contrast and it's gonna be good, but you are gonna lose some of the details as we've seen before. So if I flip all the way back to color pages here, and we are still in vivid mode, you're going to see how the colors are going to be exploding. It's not terrible like on other devices as presets go, so it's still quite usable and quite okay, but you can see on the straps here, for example, that it does really explode that contrast way too much, and then you lose the details, whereas in Optimal it's much better. However, you also do have the option of going custom and disabling all of that if you want to see all of the details. That is also something that is yeah, definitely available to you, and then you have quite a nice type of image quality. So overall, I think that the image quality itself is excellent. It's like really good, and in this case I really do like the optimal. It's like it is exploding it a bit, but it's quite nice. But the ghosting is something that you will have as an issue here and there in some most difficult options. There we go. So in very difficult conditions it will happen, but if you want to minimize it as such, use the Regal mode and go into the more, and make sure that the full refresh by click count is set to 1. The front light on the Go Color 7 is quite good, except that pretty much all of the Kaleido 3 panels do have an issue that there is an inconsistency on one of the sides, and more often than not it's the left-hand vertical side that does exhibit that issue. So here we can see that there's some inconsistencies on this side here, and currently we're at the maximum front light and we're at the middle of the color balance. So if you go with the color balance full to the cold side, this is how the fully cold color looks like, and this is fully warm, which is also good. So you have a little bit of darkening here, and there's some color or light inconsistencies here. There's also some darkening there as well on this side. So it is not a perfectly uniform front light, and both of them, the cold one is a bit better, but there's also a little bit of lightness here, then it's not perfectly uniform. So that is definitely something that would yeah, leaves a little bit to be desired. It's not Kobo Libra color level at all. So, but it's okay, it's usable. Then we go down to around maybe 50% of the front light, and I've calibrated the camera to actually reflect the real world conditions here, so that they are as faithful as I can get them. And you can see that the difference between maximum intensity and 50% is huge. And when you turn it off completely, this is what it looks like in these conditions. And yeah, this is fairly faithful, because if I move my hand, then you can see the light from the window comes in. This is my hand in place, hand away. Okay, so in these conditions I would be forced to use the front light at an intensity that's at half, at least half, or maybe even a little bit more. This is basically how I would use it for it to be something that I enjoy when reading under these conditions. I could lower it to half probably, and it would still be okay, but there would be a little bit of a struggle, but it would work fine. So the front light works pretty okay. There's a big range between the intensity, and it's okay, but it's not the best that I've seen. As far as the dead pixel issue or the missing ink cell issue goes, all of Kaleido 3 panels do suffer from that, and it seems like the e-ink as a producer, they are unable to mitigate this completely, but on this unit at the very least, I only can see a minuscule, tiny minuscule one here. There's no way that the camera is going to be able to actually catch that. So that's the only thing that, there we go, under this angle, just under certain angles in these conditions, I can see a small kind of imperfection here, but I can't see any of the other major ones there. So this is by no means a guarantee that another Go Color 7 won't have more issues or less issues. This simply is a show of the inconsistency and the lottery that the Kaleido 3 panels actually are, because you really don't know what it is that you're gonna get, and much worse, the producers themselves don't know what they're gonna get when e-ink ships them their panels. So yeah, that's an inherent negative point with the Kaleido 3 panels, as well as the darkness of the panels themselves, which requires the use of the front light. But you can see here the inconsistency of the front light, quite a bit of bleed, like a sphere of color bleed that you can see here, which indicates that just that the front light is while okay, it definitely is not of the best quality on the Go Color 7. Battery performance on the Go Color 7 is quite good, especially because this is not a BSR enabled device. With continually flipping pages every 20 seconds in the same conditions, just changing the front light intensity, same conditions meaning Wi-Fi is on, Bluetooth is off, and it's going through the same document, right? So the same load. The Color 7 was performing with the front light at 100%. It was averaging at around 16 hours per charge of continually flipping pages, which is a really, really good performance, especially because the front light intensity at 100 is quite intense. When this goes back to 50%, you can expect the performance of around 50 hours per charge, and when the front light is dropped all the way to off, then you can expect like 60 or 80 hours or even more per charge. I mean, I can't get an accurate measurement there. In order to get an accurate one, I would need to leave it for a day to do that, so then I can get a very accurate measure. But it's suffice to say that without the front light, you can go for a long time with this one. That being said, this is a Kaleido tree panel, and the situations where you're going to be able to not use a front light are going to be indoors, only well-lit conditions on a really good sunny day, and outdoors in most situations you will definitely be able to use it without a front light. But indoors, in most common situations, you will require the use of the front light to some degree. But the good news is that even if you're using it at like 50%, that still is giving you quite a bit of battery performance. So battery performance on the Go Color 7 is really good. Now, this being a e-reader primarily and a Boox device, I mean, you really have to take several things into consideration. First of all, the eReader itself is one of the most capable and versatile e-readers out there, and that is the default reader that you have here. So if you require PDF reading on a smaller format, it doesn't really matter, because the formatting capabilities, the ability to have it in portrait mode with the page fit width here and the page flipping mode like this, it really does lend itself to be a very versatile little portable reader that is far more powerful than you would expect from a device at this range and at this price point. Because let's not forget that this is a Google Play enabled device. You don't have to go through anything weird. The Google Play Store is simply there, and you have full functionality of the Google Play Store, which means that you can install any app that you may want to use, and you can use it normally, meaning browser, YouTube, reader applications, library applications, RSS feeds, whatever it is that you want, you can do that perfectly normally. As I was using, for example, Kindle and Kobo here. So I've shown you the Kobo examples there. Works the same in Kindle as well, etc. You also have in the settings, you have the ability to adjust how the buttons will function. But unlike other devices, one thing that's really cool with the side buttons here is that, well, two things are really cool, because you can have dual function for these. So you can have a short press, and short press function can be assigned per app. So for example, here I can have it, volume, scroll, or page turn, and you can adjust that on a per app basis. But furthermore than that, you also can enable the long press function, define what the long press duration is, and then you can also define what the long press functionality is. So you can actually have it double as where is it, the full refresh mode? There we go, full refresh, yes. So I can have a full refresh on a button, right? So long press here, I can turn it on, and I have long press there, and then on this one I can do my brightness switch, right? So I can just turn the front light on and off. So now I've configured this one to actually have in the Kobo Boox. Now there's a problem here with the Kobo app where the the buttons actually don't really register in the Kobo app itself. But if I go to the eReader here, then you will see that the buttons function as they normally would. But if I were to just switch this to, let's say, not depth mode and a speed mode, so that I can introduce some ghosting, right? And if I start switching here, so introduce some ghosting, right? So now we have quite a bit of ghosting going on here. And if I long press and hold 1.5 seconds, full screen refresh. Now, if 1.5 seconds is not what you want, you can go to settings and you can adjust this to be half a second, for example, and then it's far more responsive. So that is just tip of the iceberg of what the functionalities are here available on the Go Color 7, because it is, while it is a dedicated e-reader device, this is also an Android tablet fully functional. And that means that it has a microphone, so you can dictate to it, you can record things, you can use it for an app that converts and records voice to text or something like that. If you want to record memos or meetings, you can listen to audiobooks. It is Bluetooth capable, so you can hook up a Bluetooth keyboard to it, you can hook up a Bluetooth speaker to it, a Bluetooth headset to it, etc., etc. And on top of it all, it also has micro SD card slot, which I think it supports up to 1 terabyte of expansion. Overall, this is a very, very powerful device. It is much more than just an e-reader, but even if you want to use it just as an e-reader, it is a very, very capable and powerful reader at that. The flipbook cover is super simple and elegant. It's faux leather material with a Boox logo here on top. No stitching, it's dark gray inside, very nice soft plush material, and it's just using magnets to kind of fit. The way it fits inside is only this way. So your wide side needs to be on the outer shell so that this can accommodate there, but you can't really put it other way around because the magnets simply won't fit and they won't hold the device. So the only way that it fits is this orientation here. And once you have it, then it flips here and it's just really, really nice. This is not a protective cover or a case or anything like that. It's protective as in terms it protects the back and the front or the screen of the device, so it doesn't scratch when it's around there, and resembles a really beautiful, stylish little notebook or a book, which is a really nice thing. But this is not going to be resilient to any kind of falls or anything like that, and also it is going to be possible to, you know, shake the device out of it quite easily because it's simply magnets. Doesn't mean that it doesn't hold it well. It does. It just means that when you shake harder, naturally it will release and it will go down. So you will need to keep that in mind when you're using it. It doesn't add too much to the weight. It doesn't add too much to the bulkiness. It actually feels really, really good and really nice. And it's one of the rare flipbook covers that's like perfect amount of understated, and it just fits the product in a really, really good way. It's like nice and stylish. It has a magnet here to hold the cover, so it just doesn't open. It has auto wake up and sleep functionality, and when you flip it back, it does have a magnet that it holds on the back as well, which is good. So pretty much almost everything that I would expect from a flipbook cover. Stuff that I'm missing are origami functionalities, so that I can have the ability to put it into a stand, like into a landscape or a portrait oriented stand. None of that you have here, so yeah, it is what it is. All right, and it's conclusion time for the Boox Go Color 7. And first we start with the cons, and I think that the biggest con that can be attributed to this device is basically the ghosting performance in third-party apps. Now, this is not specifically the fault of the hardware capabilities of the device, because as I've demonstrated and shown, when you do set the full refresh mode to depth, which is currently only possible in an eReader, then we have no ghosting whatsoever, and we have absolutely perfect performance, and then it's like really, really good. However, software-wise, we do not have an option in the e-ink center to control the full refresh mode between normal and depth, and that is lacking. So because of that lacking option system-wide, you will have ghosting issues more often than not, especially in color content in third-party apps. Now, the tip to avoid that is basically switch to Regal refresh mode and make sure that you set the full refresh to every one click, and then you will have the minimum amount of ghosting. It will still be there, but it will be a minimum amount. The additional tip that you can use in conjunction with that setting is to program one of these buttons for a long press to be a full screen refresh. And that way, until Boox actually fixes this issue and gives us an option to have a full refresh mode control between normal and depth modes, you do have that option to actually get the maximum out of your Go Color 7. And of course, these tips apply to any Boox device because it's the same platform, so you have the same stuff. The next con is a minor one, but it is something that I mentioned several times, and that is that there is no distance or space between the buttons whatsoever. Yes, this is an impressive demonstration of the precision manufacturing quality here, but maybe this is not where it was supposed to be demonstrated, because it is a good thing to actually have slight definition between these two buttons here. Next two cons are basically in relation to Kaleido Tree technology, and the first one is inherent darkness of the Kaleido Tree technology, and the second one is that depending on which unit you have, you do need to expect to have a certain small amount of, but present amount of dead pixels, or basically missing ink cells in the Kaleido Tree. This is a consistent issue on all Kaleido Tree panels, whichever devices are using them. So we've seen them in BigMe, we've seen them in Libra, we've seen them here. So yeah, it's something that you simply have to take into account if you are getting a device that's using this technology. Another con that is device related is actually the performance of the front light. While the front light is okay, it really is not consistent enough for it to be called as great. So at best I can call it good, but there's certainly quite a few devices that perform a lot better as far as the front light quality goes. And now on to the pros. The build quality and the design is excellent. They didn't change things that were good, and they improved on the things that were that could be improved, mainly meaning the parchment-like back here, which is really pleasant to the touch, and the overall manufacturing of the device makes it really easy and nice to interact with and use on a daily basis. The performance of the device is really impressive, so really good specifications, and they definitely are reflected in excellent performance. Really good image quality when you do set it up. The default setup is terrible, and it misrepresents what the device actually is capable of, but once you do set it up to be proper, especially in eReader, because it has text emboldening and all that kind of stuff, which is just like a mess. But once you get rid of all of that and you set it up properly, then you really do have a really good image quality and good color representation on the Go Color 7. Really good battery life, excellent versatility of a device that is not just an e-reader but a full-on Android tablet with audio capabilities such as the microphone, speaker, and expandability with the micro SD card slot. And furthermore, it's also USB OTG capable, which means you can hook up an USB OTG drive or a hub and then expand it further with that, and even control it via mouse and keyboard if that is what you want. The cover, while not offering the ability to serve as a stand, just as a cover, it's a really nice package that gives a nice complete kind of look, and it does feel elegant, and it does feel like something that's quite pleasant to use. Presence of the Google Play Store to begin with, no need for GSF ID registration or anything like that. Nope, it's all there. You just log in and you use it as you normally would. And finally, actually, maybe for the first time ever, the Boox OS UI, while not perfect, has been quite considerably improved with the 3.5.3 version that we have here. It seems like Boox is definitely listening and they've tried to improve things. I'm not a fan of everything, but I definitely can appreciate the effort and the direction where they are going with this. And the overall thing, the way it's actually assembled here on the Go Color 7, it's quite good, and it's far more intuitive than before. Now, of course, you do still have remnants of the old menu diving here and there, but at the very least, on the system side of things, things are starting to look up and things are starting to be simplified and improved. And the casing example here is basically, this is just one of the examples. Introduction of color modes. Now, we still have the same controls are there, like all of these, but we now have introduction of, hey, a couple of presets, things that you would normally use, and they are just like optimal, vivid, and your custom. And you no longer have to go through many sliders and be inundated with all of these things, etc., etc. And more you go through the whole thing, you see a little bit improvement here, a little bit improvement there. So the Boox UI in the latest OS 3.3 version is definitely a step in the right direction, which is long overdue, but it's very nice to finally see. So Boox Go Color 7 in summary. Well, there's a lot to like about this device and very few things to actually dislike. The ghosting thing, yes, it is an issue, but as I've already commented and described, this is something that can be overcome by a software update, and I hope that they actually do that, because the device is certainly capable of delivering ghost-free performance, as we've seen in the eReader. The front light is the only real negative hardware-wise kind of thing that cannot be fixed with the with any software updates or anything like that, and it is the only proper objective negative point that I can raise against the Boox Go Color 7. But even that, it's not such a big deal. It's just that it's not a great front light. It's a good front light, it's just not a great one. With that in mind, everything together, the package itself, how it is in the hand, how it is to be used, the versatility of it, the power of it, all of the stuff that it can do, especially when you set it up that you can compensate for the ghosting thing when it does occur until they fix it. Hopefully they will. If we bug them enough, I think that they will fix it. It's very hard not to like this device. And at $250, it's not cheap. But this is a 7-inch Kaleido 3 powered Android device with Google Play Store, with octa-core CPU. It's built really good, it's designed really good, it's comfortable to use, it's easy to use. All of these things, it's just a really good combination, and one of the best ones that I've actually tried out from all of these 7-inch variations of Kaleido 3 devices here. The question only should come down to, do you really need a color content, the Kaleido 3, and the negatives that the Kaleido 3 technology brings with it, or not? Because if not, then you have all of the benefits of that this one brings, but in black and white form, which is crisper image, better clarity, better contrast, better visibility, better battery life, monochromatic of course, in the page at a lower price. So I think it comes down to that. But if you are looking for color content and you are aware of the negatives that I've talked about this device, there's really a lot to like about the Go Color 7. Alright, I hope that you found the video interesting, informative, and or useful. If you did, please like and subscribe and ding the notification bell in the description below to get notified when new videos come out on my deep guide. Thank you so much for watching, stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video. Bye!